Hello, everybody. Think that I am live now. I have a little issue getting the streaming to work. Hopefully this will work. I had to go to my Wi-Fi instead of my cabled Ethernet. So hopefully this is fast enough for you to see it. So if you're joining me and you do see me, please let me know in the comments. If this doesn't work, I will just re-record as a video and share it that way. So I recently completed half of my vacation album. This is my Wanderlust vacation album that I started, for those of you that follow me, back in February when I went to Megan's retreat. And it is the second half of the vacation we took in 2022. So yes, I have a whole nother vacation on top of this. And I need to do the first half of the trip. So for this trip, we were in northern Utah for the first week at a family reunion. So kind of a different set of photos. And this is the second half of the trip when we went down to southern Utah. Utah is one of my favorite places in the world. If you haven't been, the southern part of the state, well, the whole state's pretty, but the southern part of the state is gorgeous. There are several national parks, and even what isn't in a national park is very worth seeing. I've been there, I think this is my third or fourth trip down there, and I still haven't seen everything yet. So I have this done, and I wanted to show it up because I want to get it put away. So this is the Wanderlust, and the reason why I needed to get this out here too is because they are discontinuing this entire collection. The Wanderlust cover set, I'm going to order the spines. That's why I don't have a spine, because I'm ordering a custom one. It hasn't shipped to me yet. But the Fast2Fab available. The Fast2Fab album is still available online. Or at least I have one in stock. The pages are online, and all of the paper and accessories that you'll see. So I'm going to walk you through the Fast2Fab. If you're not familiar with Fast2Fab, it is a set of pre-designed pages from Creative Memories. I only create vacation albums now with Fast2Fab because it gives me a nice base to the page, and it gives me somewhere to start. Unfortunately, our Fast2Fab page concept did change this year, and so I don't think we'll see as much variety. They went to more of a color palette theme. I did grab, I think the Nordic Winter ones is going to be a great set for outdoors, and I think the fall set will be conducive to some outdoor stuff, which is typically what I scrapbook. The first two sets of the year were a little bit brighter tone and not really in line with the kind of vacations that I take. So here is my first page. This is my title page. I always complete it last just because I'm not totally sure what I'll start it with. This, and again, this is a second album in the vacation, so I didn't do some elaborate, like, this is our big trip page. It's more so introducing the second section of it. The Wanderlust came with laser mats, and I also have incorporated a little bit of our moments. So towards the end of the book, you're going to see our moments. So some of the embellishments you'll see came from there too. So I usually pick out a few punches. This one was Infinity Chain. I picked that one out because it went with the kind of the swirls of this laser mat. And then you will see I have a lot of peekaboo pockets. So this is one of the mats out of Wanderlust. This was paper I just notched in the corners with our shoe-way corner rounder. And then we have a peekaboo too. I need to journal this. I'm going to wait until I do the first book to journal this so that I know what my segue journaling should be. And then when we left northern Utah, we were driving down through Park City. So this is actually a layout from Park City, Utah. So still a little bit north, and we stopped for lunch. So the Fast2Fab page you can see down here. On this side is this brown and the stripes. On this side, it did have this white grid that gave me kind of that frame effect. So then I just added paper for the mats. I usually keep receipts, like we go out to eat. This was some souvenirs, just a fun way to remember it. Some of them do fade over time. It's the risk I take including them. I also use some laser borders. So a lot of our collections, Welcome Home, Homestead, Family Memories, there's probably another one I'm forgetting. Borders coordinate across the board pretty well when you get into some of these earthy neutral tones. Again, the Infinity Chain border maker. You can see I don't mat every photo. I just try to do clean lines, so I keep my spacing consistent. I don't trim my photos unless the design needs it or the photo really does need a firm crop. This was, again, as we traveled down, I had to take a picture of the gas tank. This was the first time I had ever spent over $100 for a tank of gas. I was driving, I forget what this was, maybe Yukon or Tahoe I was driving, so I'd never had a gas tank, I guess, that big, and the gas was so expensive. It was $5.24, which was high. That we don't usually get that high here in the Midwest. And again, a little bit more journaling tucked in here behind the peekaboo pockets. On this page, the only thing added is this border and this medallion, and then the peekaboo. These are just on the page itself. This page I liked, so I don't know how well you can see it here, but the Fast2Fab page part was, it was brown down the center, and so I added the double peekaboo pockets here. And then these are border stickers from one of our tonal sets. I pulled all the neutrals. I don't know how well you can see. I did it in white just to have a little bit of just a subtlety that this is Arches National Park along here. Laser titles, a lot of our laser titles can be used across many collections, so I just keep them all together and added some journaling down here. You will see I do have a few cutouts and things I purchased at gift shops along the way. I'm not opposed to letting somebody else do the work for me. Again, this one's pretty simple. This is just photos on the page, and I added the laser cut border down the middle of each, and then I cut a border here to give it a little bit. The photos, so again, I like clean lines. I just trim my photos down until they were close enough to fit with just a little bit of spacing. Same for over here. I tucked in a punched border, but that's it on this page. This is just photos on the page. And on this side, I had matte, and then I did more peekaboo. So flap open for the peekaboos. I usually do matte underneath my peekaboo a little bit. You can see this matte down here. Same concept. You're going to see a theme throughout. I have a lot of photos, and so when I do any Fast2Fab, the first thing I do is power layout. I go through and say, these are the photos I want on these two pages, and I will make it fit. So it's either going to be peekaboo, I have to get rid of them, or I have to cut it down. I just basically am like, how much space am I willing to commit to this part of the trip? We did a tour when we first got to Arches, and that's was really fun because we were able to go in some remote areas. And don't hesitate to take, fun pictures of the photography, point your camera up to the side. I love the action that I can get on these kind of vacations with the kids. I cut these down. This looks like it's probably about 3x3, maybe a little bit smaller. These Fast2Fab are really nice too. You probably can't see it very well. It has a dot grid on there, which makes it really nice for lining things up and even journaling on the page. These stickers and embellishments actually came from the Happy Album collection. A few years ago, we had a Happy Album stickers and embellishments, and those coordinated because they had the same earthy, neutral tones. So I love pulling all that stuff into one. Again, this is one of my favorites. The only thing I did here was add the peekaboo. This is just pictures on the page. So I flapped top and bottom for these. I didn't leave spacing here. I butted them all up against each other. So these are 4x6. We were having a conversation yesterday actually about multi-pocket pages. I'm not a fan of the multi-pocket pages that we have for a couple of reasons. One, I think they're a little flimsy. Two, you can see through the clearness of it to the page behind. And three, you can make that concept yourself. This is basically the peekaboo or the multi-pocket page layout where it takes 3 horizontal and 2 vertical. So you can do that yourself on a page. Okay, we're moving on. I always take pictures of maps. Even if I don't use the picture of the map in the book, it helps orient me when I go back to do the actual layouts to remind me of where we were, what we were doing. But then I usually like the pictures and I want to figure out how to incorporate them. Peekaboo pockets are great for that. I did add a punch border here. That's his old zigzag. And again, a sticker pack I got from one of the gift shops is where some of these stickers are coming from that you probably don't recognize. Get creative with your journaling too. Just tuck in a long strip maybe underneath. One of my favorite things to do at the end of the book. So I do this in layers. I do Fast2Fab. I power layout. Then I go through and do as much as I am inspired to do in the moment, getting the pictures on the page. And then I'll go through a couple more times. And by the end of it, I'm just embellishing. I'm looking at my embellishments. What do I have left? What do I need to journal? I usually journal last unless I know in that first moment. So basically follow the inspiration. If you're doing the first wave of the page, like, no, I know I want to write and I know where I want it, then do it. And if you're stuck, just keep moving. Mentally, it helps keep me in my lane when I'm focusing on the same thing. And journaling is usually one of those things I have to do at the end. But I like to find little places to journal and then tuck in little stickers around there. Same concept here. This is the double rickrack BMC. If you don't have that one, it's a must-have because it's so versatile. I do try to add in some circles sometimes. More peekaboo up here. This is Delicate Art, one of the best hikes we had on the trip. I like, even just getting pictures of the feet, climbing. More pictures, more peekaboos. You can alternate, do you flap up, flap down, flap to the side? It's totally up to you. I'm using photo splits. So our photo corner, I keep saying photo splits. Photo corners, the clear photo corners are what I'm tucking my peekaboo pockets into to keep them from flopping and all over the place when I turn the page. On this side, I wanted to do a little bit picture. So this is a bigger picture. This is a 5x7 peekaboo. I did blow up this picture to 5x7. And then I flop it open to the top and I have another journaling box in there and another picture down here. This was kind of our family picture underneath the arch, but if I didn't blow it up, we really were so tiny, which is why I went to do with the 5x7. And I just like mixing it up a little bit, maybe throwing in a different size. I have a question in the chat about the frame border. Are you looking at this maybe with the mat? This is a laser mat from Wanderlust that came with laser mats. So those are very fun to get. You can make a similar concept with some of our frame punches, but you're going to get a wider border around your page or the picture. It's not going to be as small in there, or you could use a decorative blade on your trimmer to give you that effect. Sometimes the theme of the Fast2Fab page doesn't work, and so I will just cover it up. And it's not that I couldn't make it work, but for this one, I was really excited for this trip that the southern part of the state, like Moab, is a dark sky park. But unfortunately, the week that we were there was also a full moon, which makes it really hard to see the stars in a dark sky when you have a full moon. But fortunately, we had some cloud cover at times, and so I was able to see a little bit of the stars. My pictures weren't great. They were just on the balcony. But I pulled in paper. I'm trying to remember where this came from. I think it's from Leave Nothing Behind, had this print. And then I punched with our old Moon and Stars laser embellishment. I think from the Must Have too, maybe the glow, like how often can you find somewhere to use glow, but it worked well for this layout. So I'm not afraid to go ahead and stick in just something random if needed. And there's one coming up. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's like blaring in the book, but it totally goes with the layout. Over here, moving on, different day, different tour, same concept, peekaboo pockets to add in extra pictures. This is the arrow border punch. It's a knockout, but I went ahead and cut it into a strip. I maintained, most of my titling are the mini sans serif ABC that we have. We have white, brown, and black from Creative Memories. I added all that at the end. And oops, see that one's upside down, so I'll need to flip that picture. I took the kids rappelling, and so I pulled out my rope border maker cartridge. You can make a little bit bigger mat, put a border down one side of it. And then there's 4x4s, peekaboos that you could flip open. Underneath here, I cut these pictures a little bit smaller. They are matted on 4x4 paper. This book, by the end of it, I'm probably pushing, it is really fat. It's probably almost 3 full sets, which is really too much because of the amount of peekaboos that I use. So, like every other Creative Memories book, they say you can fit it up to 3 sets of refills, but if you use a lot of layered embellishments or peekaboo pockets, you really need to back off of that. When I'm done with it, I'll show you how fat this book is, but it just is what it is, right? I loved this one. It's so simple. The only thing I did to this page was add the borders, the rope chain. I did them vertically to mimic the rappelling that we were doing, especially when you do outdoor pictures and vacations. There's so much beauty in the pictures that you really don't want to overdo your page or you're going to lose it. And I'd rather have more pictures than have more room for embellishments. I trimmed these down to fit within this space over here in the page. I really am so sad that they're changing the style of the Fast2Fab because I love kind of having a little bit of challenge of how to like make my pictures fit with what they gave me. Um, Again, this matte paper came from one of the kits I bought at a gift shop. We're moving on in the park. We're still in Arches. I love to collect the postcards, especially the old style ones. This is a map, a trail guide. I don't know why they had to make this hot pink because it like would clash and anything. But I put a peekaboo pocket. So this was kind of a picture I didn't need to keep, but I was like, well, I kind of want to put it in here. So I adhered this picture to the map. On top of the mat, I did a peekaboo pocket that is not set in here to flap. So it's just basically going to let me, slide the trail map in. And then the peekaboo here has a postcard and a little bit more history of how the rock layers were formed. So if someone is going through here, they can flip it open. Maybe they want to pull out the map. And then the picture underneath that is just kind of a bonus showing the periods of time that our rocks were formed. This is a craft photo corner. The bad thing about the craft ones is you will see it here on the peekaboo, but I liked it anyways. More peekaboos. I probably counted at some point and I forget how many I used. Over here, I did add paper, so sometimes maybe I want to add in additional paper, just cut a strip or so and add it. Yeah, that's just on the page. I added one strip and then one border. This is paper from that kit also. I love Sunshine Arches. If you don't have Sunshine Arches, it's on clearance right now from Creative Memories and you need to get it because it is one of my all-time favorites. The photo corners are just the regular medium ones. I'm probably using up old ones, but in our current archiver set, those would work also. These also flap open. And I just use one in a corner and usually the bottom and the top. It depends on where they meet together. If you have two peekaboos meeting, you're going to not be able to get the corners in here together, which for the one on each of the opposite corners is good enough. Again, over here, I could have peekabooed these, but, it makes kind of a nice design statement to just cut them down. Pretty simple layouts. If you have a picture that maybe is not 4x6, but you still want to put it in there, you can do half journaling, half photo. So one of the nights, like I said, we had the full moon. It wasn't just the full moon, it was a super moon. So I went back and pulled out paper that would go with that concept of the stars and the same border punch. This, again, is a laser mat out of the Wanderlust pack. This is probably out of Leave Nothing Behind, the full moon map. I opened it up, tuck in some journaling, a little picture. And this is where you're going to see, you're going to notice here, I've added in another set of the same Fast2Fab. So you're going to see that the base are similar to what we've seen. So let me find that page. It's not, oh, that's not quite the same. This one. So this was my first layout with Park City, and here I am again. So you're going to see all of these repeat. So sometimes they look similar. Over here, I just cut these down. I gave myself a matting effect just by how I spaced the photos. This is from one of the visitor center. Again, over here, I slide in my brochure into a 4x6 peekaboo. I did adhere that peekaboo with a corner also, just so it didn't flap. You could also add some photo tape to the back of it. More postcards, of course, and pictures. I love the big maps. This is a waterfall. So again, I was like, you know, I have all of these pictures. This was just one part of the hike. I'm not doing more than one layout for this. And so I did a waterfall effect with peekaboos. So I have, and then it ends with the postcard. So postcard, 2, 4, 6, 8 photos for that. And then down here, I did these are little 4x3 peekaboos that flap open like that. Yes, anything you see that doesn't look like Creative Memories came from a national park visitor center. We do sell the photo corners. So for Creative Memories, they're called Archivers photo corners. You can buy them off Creative Memories website. We always keep those. I did bring in a little bit of the hexagon punch, you know, and this is from the Happy Album stickers. The zigzag border. This is a laser mat from Wanderlust. Flap open here. And this one, I like this one too. So I flap up, flap to the side, flap to the other side. And then I have the picture in the bottom. And I chose one they're kind of walking away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots for photos or journaling. And this is like I'm saying, it gets a little fat when you use this many peekaboos, and that's why you end up with less pages, but I just love them. That's so fun. How many times can I say I love this book? It's one of my favorites. Same concept, flap down, flap up, and flap to the side. Flap to the side. Any of you have Merlin, the bird app? I love the Merlin bird app wherever I go, and it will like pull up what birds it hears. And so I took a screenshot, but I just cut out that one little piece of it to identify the birds that I kept hearing flying around here. Pictures, pictures, pictures. And over here, I don't know if you can, I used white letters again. I really like the neutral tone-on-tone look. It's like a subtlety. It identifies it, but it keeps it from like being so stark. I could have used brown. It would have looked fine. I don't know. I liked kind of the white. More journaling over here. And again, I just cut down a couple small photos. This is at Canyonlands, which is near Arches. So if you go down to Moab, you'll be really close to Arches National Park and Canyonlands. I have a picture of the kids looking like this at the Real Grand Canyon in 2016, so that I made them recreate it. They're pretty good about going along with whatever I ask for. I was like, I'll take you on these trips and you take the photos I want. Deal? My brother met up with us down here, so we went to the sign to take pictures. Dinner. This came from a visitor center. This is the Weaving Waves border punch. Laser mat. Again, more of a collage. I just kept cutting down the photos. So I don't cut the photos down until I know where I want it on the page, you know, because I want to maintain the consistency of measurement as much as possible. So you can see these are the same height, but they're different widths. These are the same width, but they're maybe the same, maybe slightly different heights. If you can see the dots too, I use the dots to line. So I adhere these so that I could see a line of the dots through the seams also. It's like a design element. This is the page I was talking about. So if you come out of Moab and you're going north and you hit 70, again, there's this random little gas station called Jackass Joe's at Crescent Junction, Utah. And it was the most obnoxious color scheme. If you go in the bathroom, they had like painted a mural over the floor and the walls. The toilet was painted gold. No, I did not actually sit on it. This is the most expensive gas I saw. It was $7.19. I did not buy it there, but I had to take a picture of it. They had a whole wall of beef jerky. They had every flavor of Pringles in rainbow order at the bottom. Um, they had a whole wall of candy, and I won't say this out loud, but it's normal store blank, starts with SH. And so I was like, you know what would be perfect? It's Out of This World, because it's the same color scheme. So I didn't hesitate to cover up my Wanderlust and basically throw this paper down in the middle of it because I went with the pictures. It was pretty fun too to have a reason to use Out of This World. Um, and then we were heading west. If you go out I-70 and then you go south again, it's Goblin Valley State Park, which looks like this field of mushrooms out there. So we met some more of my family there. Again, same concept with the brochure. It's just a 4x6 peekaboo. And so then there's more kids, more pictures. This is another 5x7. I made a little mini collage on top of the 5x7 paper mat, front and back. You can see the back off camera. Has 4 more photos on there. A couple photos hiding underneath. And these, I think I kept 6 inches tall, but I just cropped them skinnier to get 4 in a row. This happy, I think, came out of the denim You Got This borders. And then as we left Goblin Valley, we were making our way over to Capitol Reef, where we started to climb a little bit in elevation. So green started to be reintroduced to the landscape. So you see a little bit more green papers coming into the designs too. And as I transitioned this part of the trip out of the desert, I switched to Our Moments. So Our Moments is actually still available also. It is also on clearance, but I wanted to bring in something a little bit different, a little bit softer. This is Wanderlust paper, but again, going back to our multi-pocket page conversation that you guys were not part of, but yesterday, this is the same concept too. You know, if you just barely trim your photos on one end, you can just put 6 horizontal or 6 vertical on one page. There's no need to have a multi-pocket page. You can do this on cardstock if you're going to slide it into a top loading sleeve, or do it on a page. It's just a great way to add in additional photos without really having to use peekaboo pockets, or decorate the page. So you have your main page over here, you have a nice border, lots of paper, embellishment, cluster, title, and here's 6 more photos. I think I had missed a stack of photos. I had to go back in and add them in later. If you have any of the 8.5 by 11 pages, the staples line up the same, and you can add in, you can do this also the same with the Happy Album pages. So either a Happy Album page or 8.5 by 11, if you want to add in some extra photos to a layout, maybe if you missed them or you just don't have as many, or you just want something fun, a little bit different. And these are nice because they don't add, because the jeeping lies inside the page, you save a little bit of width out here, throwing some of these in here. Just lots of photos. When I booked this Airbnb, it said $1 million views, and they were not wrong. It was one of the prettiest places I've ever stayed. And there's a big hill beside it, so we climbed up for the sunset. So again, I did the same thing with the peekaboos as I did on the other page. So I go up to the side, to the side. So if you want to build this, you have to build from the bottom up with your peekaboo. Put this one on. You have to kind of do it open too. So this one, make sure they're in the right spot. And then you have to kind of open it back up and know where you want this one to fit on. The Our Moments had more of this magenta tone. a little bit grayer, a little bit more floral. They actually had flowers around there. Um, Another brochure pocket, same concept. You can see the themes, right? How many photos can I fit on a page? Clean cut, consistent measurements, and fit the journaling and embellishment wherever you might have extra space. Laser borders from different collections. A little oval cup for the sticker title. This is 2 half mats. So this is, no, this is a, so this 4x6 is a mat. Half of it had journaling, half of it had the title. The brown side was going to kind of get lost on this brown paper, and so I just cut another half mat to put underneath it. So it kind of pops this side. It has different dimensions. I put the sticker on first before I journaled, so I could make sure that it fit. More postcards, peekaboo, you get the idea. So fun. Our Moments, this came from Our Moments also with the camera paper, but the camera border sticker came out of Wanderlust. Peekaboos. Same concept here, kind of my decorative side of the page, and then the how many photos can I fit on a page? And here's an example where you can fit 4x6 vertically on one side. Kind of getting towards the end of the trip. Again, this yellow also is Our Moments, just add in little embellishments, little hearts. So not all of my family was here, but everyone was up north. And then when some of them live in Utah. And so when I went down to Moab, my mom and dad came down there with my nephew, and then my other brother joined us at the end. And then when we got to Capitol Reef, my other brother came there, along with my sister. So it kind of grew again by the end of the trip. We had a lot of people. The blue tones came from Our Moments also. One big mat fits 4 smaller photos cut down. Of course, the girls were having fun, and I couldn't not use so many of the photos. More peekaboos. It was really cool last night. So by this point, everyone else had left. It was just us here. There was a storm coming in. It was very windy, dark, but my kids love that kind of adventure. So we stayed out there for a while. And then I wanted to go through, I told you I had my bird app, and when we were at Capitol Reef, there was quite a bit of birds. So I was like, how can I get all my bird pictures on one page? I don't need the 4x6. And so I did a smaller circles cut and then matted them all on a little bit larger of a circle with our custom cutting system. And then I just wrote a little bit of journaling in there. Their last evening, a picture of all their snacks. They're, just cashing out, watching The Bachelor. This is the $1 million view I had out the front of the house. And it gets to the end of the trip where we're flying home, which I always love an excuse to use some of our planes, paper, or embellishments, because we drive so much on these trips, but we always have some of these fun stuff with the collection. So using that. And then on our way home, at midnight, when we crossed into Eastern time, it was Emerson's birthday. So she turned 18 in air. So this is, I had told Southwest, so they gave her a little crown of pretzels at midnight. And then they were sitting like a few rows behind me. So the Campbell had sent me a screenshot of it says adult vibes, because now she's 18. It still says 10 on my phone, because obviously when you're in the air, your phone won't really update to the correct time. But so that is the second half of this trip. Do you guys, I think I've got most of your questions as I've gone along. Are there any others that you have about Fast2Fab? It really is a great way to work on a vacation. You can definitely pull together a lot of our sets work well together, especially if you've been in for a few years. And so like Homestead, Welcome Home, Natural Disposition, Beneath the Pines. There's so many sets that they have those neutral tones that they'll work, and they work pretty well with each other in the borders and whatnot. So I will save this and I'll post it so any of you can come back later if you want to see a certain thing that I did or do it again. Like I said, Wanderlust is for sale, not just on sale going out, but it's on sale prices. So if you like the concept, I know you can get the pages and most of the collection still online. The cover set has sold out, but there's plenty of cover sets that you can get to work, or just wait, just get the pages and then wait for another cover set to come along that you like. Eventually there will be one. When I do the first half of this trip, which we'll see, it might be in February again when I go see Megan, we were at a lake, and so that book will be very blue. So I have a completely different look for that set. And I will, of course, show you guys when I get there. The hardest part about these vacations, if you're like me, are fitting in the book, because do you guys remember, were any of you following me when I went to Megan's and I was printing all of those photos? I have a box of photos, like it is like this tall, photos I didn't use. It is obviously kind of a waste of money per se, but it takes so much. It's hard for me to choose my photos on the screen that a lot of times I just have to print them and get them in front of me. And I print at Walmart, so they did raise their price. It's 14 cents now. It was 12 cents. But, if I end up with 100 pictures, say I don't use it, so that would be, like $16 or so. And that $16 ends up being a waste of prints, but for time, it would probably take me a couple of hours or more to pare down 100 photos online. And so I kind of value my time that way. Like, would I rather have these hours I don't have to look on the screen, and just spend the money and get the prints, and then with the extra prints I will make books for my kids. So they don't get a full book of it, but they all have their own books. And so I'll do a few layouts from each trip in there. And let me show you what I made for my nephew. And behind me. Let me flip back down to my desk. So my nephew is with us in the picture, and I made him this little paper album. And this is a Leave Nothing Behind, actually. So some of these photos are from the first half of the trip, which you haven't seen yet. So when I had all the extra photos, I went through and picked out ones that he was in. So I was able to make this little book to give him. You can cut these apart and put them in an 8x8 cover set. Because I will have another for the Colorado trip he was on with us this year. I don't think I'm actually going to do that, though. He's going to the Coast Guard when he graduates in May, and I think it'll be better to keep these thin. So I'll just give them the two little paper albums. It'll be easier for him to slide in somewhere instead of having the thicker album, because I know that his space will be premium. So I just keep the extra photos, like I said, and do fun little things like this, or for the kids, or do extra layouts that you might see in Power Hour or whatnot. When I'm like desperate for photos, I might be re-scrapping some of these for some of the kids' books that you can see. So okay, well, thank you all for joining me. I will post this so any of you that can go back and rewatch it, and hopefully the feed was okay, and I'll figure out why it did not want me to be connected to my cable, and hopefully next time it will be smooth for all of us. So thanks for all joining me. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat and I'll come find it later.